Hi guys, welcome back to the Spurred On podcast. It's Monday morning, I'm fresh out of the shower. It's taken me all weekend to get over that 2-1 home loss at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Obviously, I gave my instant match reaction after the game, which I posted at the weekend, and a lot of you have watched that, and actually a lot of Wolves fans have watched that as well. Alongside my pre-match preview where I talked about James Maddison kind of being the key to winning, but actually Maddison was kind of not really in the game. And it was a very disappointing afternoon. I'm going to go through kind of the 5 things that I feel like I've learnt from that game and that we can look to in terms of trying to find some positivity going forward. But there will be some negativity today as well. Of course there will be. Because not only is it about losing, but also obviously all the other teams around us this weekend won. And then on top of that, just that worst feeling of all is when you've got a 2-week break. Like usually it's only for international games, and if you lose going into the 2-week break, that's absolutely devastating. But this week, all the other teams are going to be playing next weekend as well, and there's a chance for them to really pull away from us in that kind of, I don't know, in terms of Aston Villa in the fight for the top 4, but maybe even Manchester United will have a chance to get level with us now that they're only 3 points behind, having won I think it's 5 games on the spin without ever playing very well. And Spurs have just dropped enough points to let them back in the hunt and in with a sniff, and that's depressing. But back to that Wolves game on Saturday. I want to start with a little stat I saw, which is that in the 2 losses to Wolves this season, they've done the double over us. The loss at home to Villa, the loss away to Brighton, and the home game to West Ham. Emerson Royal and Ben Davies played in all of those games. Now, this is not just... I'm not just saying this as a stick to beat them with. I actually think they are excellent professionals and really good kind of triers. They work hard, give 110% each time, and they're both good defenders. And obviously in some of those games they were forced to play centre-back. In fact, the weekend against Wolves was the first time that Emerson Royal has played at right-back or started at right-back this season since the opening game of the season away at Brentford. So it's not as simple as saying he can't play in that position. It's not as simple as that, but there is an element of it to it. He's also obviously played in that first Wolves game where we lost 2-1 at Molineux. He played at left back and he was very poor that game. But what it does lead me to bring up once again is that the squad depth to play the way that Ange wants to play just isn't there. And in games like that, when you're facing a well-drilled team with a good coach with tactical acumen, we needed those fullbacks. If they're going to play in Ange's inverted system, we needed them to be Porro and Destiny Udogie to add 2 more technically gifted, forward-thinking players with good vision into the mix. And I think genuinely, I don't know, let me know in the comments what you think, but I think genuinely, had those 2 played, we would have got at least a draw and probably a win, because we would have put far more pressure on Wolves' backline, been able to keep it better in their half, and possibly even because of the pace of Udogie, not given up as many chances on the break as we did in that game. So I'm not blaming the fact that we lost on just the fullbacks. But what I'm saying is, in terms of where we will be in a few transfer windows time, in a year or 2 years time, in terms of squad depth and our ability to cope with the loss of, in this instance, 2 fullbacks. And actually, the fullbacks in Ange's system are almost the key roles. It's almost like more dangerous to lose our key fullbacks, Udogie and Porro, than it was when we lost Romero and Van de Ven. Because making those 2 extra roles up in the centre midfield as they invert is absolutely vital to the way that we play. So I'm not saying that's the only reason we lost, because nobody else really covered themselves in glory, other than I think Van de Ven played really well. And I thought Bissouma was good, especially in the first half. And Romero was good too. But it's not the only reason we lost, but they are key players in terms of not being able to play Ange ball in the way that we were in the first 10 games. So that was the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing is listening to all of Ange's comments after the games in all of his interviews. He knows how long this project is going to take, and he knows the importance of a change of mentality from top to bottom of this club, and that includes on the field. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because obviously the knee-jerk reaction, and maybe I was culpable of this a little bit as well, but the knee-jerk reaction on the internet, and particularly on Twitter, on X, is that why is Ange Postecoglou playing the same system with inverted fullbacks when he doesn't have the fullbacks who can play it? And the reason is the change of mentality at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club back to front. The entire club. And that is about not changing what you are about just because of adversity. Right? So don't just suddenly flip back into playing Conte ball because we've lost our two first choice fullbacks. It's about showing the entire squad, the entire first team, and all the way down to the academy and the unders age groups, that this is the way we're going to play. And if you want to stay within this club and you want to make a name for yourself at Tottenham Hotspur, then you as a player are going to have to improve. And Pedro Porro is someone as an example. We didn't think he'd be able to play the inverted fullback role. We didn't think he was good enough to defend in a 4. He's proven us wrong. He's been outstanding this season. So, no shade again on Emerson Royal, but if he wants to stay at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and he's been at Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world, he is going to have to learn how to play this role successfully. And at the moment, he's not able to, and it costs us. And if Ange doesn't see enough by the end of the season from Emerson Royal, who, like I said, is an incredible professional, and I'm just using him as an example here, then he won't be in the club anymore. He will be sold. And Ange will be cutthroat, just as he's been cutthroat with Eric Dyer, just as he will be cutthroat with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and he said to him, you're not going to be you're not going to be a starter. Just as he was cutthroat with Davinson Sanchez, he will be cutthroat with any players who are not going to be able to play the system the way he wants it to be. So, it's about the project, and it's about the fact that this season is a little bit about changing the mentality of the club. On the pitch, off the pitch, everywhere. All in the same direction. And let's face it, we are way further ahead than we thought we would be at right now. And he said from the start there will be bumps in the road. And this is one of the bumps in the road. But do not get too stressed about it. Okay, that was the second thing I want to talk about. The third thing I want to talk about is realism. The realism of how long this project is going to take. Jurgen Klopp, pretty much seen as the best manager in the world alongside Pep Guardiola. He came 8th in his first season at Liverpool. 8th. They had been 6th the previous season, so he took them from 6th to 8th, right? Mikel Arteta, now deemed to be one of the best managers in the world, certainly in the Premier League, nearly won Arsenal a title last season. His first 2 seasons at Arsenal, 8th and 8th. The season before he joined Arsenal, they were 6th. So he took them from 6th to 8th. Now, to any of you having kittens on Twitter, being reactive, sitting in your bedrooms, being reactive and saying Ange isn't right, or Ange is this, or Ange is that. We are currently in 5th place. We were in 4th before this weekend, right? And last season we came 8th with Harry Kane, arguably the best number 9 in the world, who scored 20 goals for us every single season since he started. 30-odd goal involvements every season. We lost him, and Ange has got us in 5th at this point. Like I said, we're miles ahead of where we need to be, so we need to be realistic. I know it's hard. Nobody likes losing, especially at home in games where you think you're going to win, or you're expected to win, or you expect yourselves that we're going to win. Especially when we have a run of games where we thought we could put together a real run of kind of four wins and a draw, with Palace at home coming next. But there are going to be bumps in the road. Okay? So let's just be realistic. It's going to take time, it's going to take patience, it's going to take persistence, and it's going to take transfer windows for Ange to get the squad that he wants. Stick with him. He is the right man. I'm not suggesting any of you guys in my audience are necessarily these reactive Twitter people, but they are around. And if any of you are those people, come on, be realistic. Next thing I wanted to talk about, we've got to be honest, the form has been poor for a while. In reality, not since the 4-1 win at home to Newcastle, and they had loads of injuries, by the way, have we really played that well. So maybe we shouldn't be so surprised that Gary O'Neill managed to set up his team well enough to beat us and outplay us at home. Also, these clubs, they come to Spurs, they're underdogs, they've got nothing to lose. They have an amazing day out, their fans are loving it in our incredible stadium in London. Dream scenario, and we've not been playing well. The first 10 games, when we were absolutely flying, we surprised people. Then we got the injuries and suspensions against Chelsea. And ever since then, we've been trying to kind of keep there or thereabouts. So we got to this stage when the players come back. Now the players are back. Porro and Destiny get injured. And then also, we're now fighting against expectations because of those first 10 games. And the other coaches, in this example, Gary O'Neill, finding ways to get around our good football. And he did it. And that's the reality. So maybe we shouldn't be as surprised as I admit I was, that we played so poorly, because that has been coming. That result has been coming. So now, in this 2-week break, hopefully Ange is just like, okay, guys, this is ground zero now. We have to start again. We start again, and we have to build back up. Let's get all our players back fit for Crystal Palace. It won't be easy. I think they're going to have their new manager, Glasner, in charge for them. Did really well at Eintracht Frankfurt. Hopefully, Eze and Elise will still be injured. I don't like to see a player injured, but they're such top quality players. But we're going to need to win that game, and we're going to need the crowd to get behind them properly as well, because there was a little bit of a lack of atmosphere at the Lane on Saturday. Finally, last thing I want to talk about, I mentioned it during the watch-along, set pieces becoming a huge problem for Spurs at the moment. Defending set pieces. We so rarely get one of our players' first head on the ball. We give away so many chances from set pieces, and a lot of them this season, Vicario has saved us. So this is something over the next 2 weeks that I really hope that Mile Jedinak, the set piece coach, defensive coach at Spurs, alongside Ange, is working on something. And I hope it's something different, because it's not working. It's really not. You can't make it so easy. When we take corners, 98% of the time, the opposition defenders get their first head on the ball. We don't do it when we're defending corners, and I need something to change, because we're conceding too many goals that way, and not just from corners, from deep set pieces as well. So that's just something I want to see change before that Palace game. But anyway, although it's ended on a little bit of negativity, I want to kind of really properly end this with some positivity. I don't think we should panic. We're well above where we thought we should be. Everything's going to be good. We've got the right man in charge, and the club is improving top to bottom. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. As ever, please do press that subscribe button and that like button if you're on YouTube. And do also come over to the podcast platforms, wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Come and give me a subscribe or a follow. Drop me a comment. And also remember, you can be a Spurred On Pro member or Patreon member. Just £1 a month. All the info is in the description box. And as soon as I've got enough of you, you will get some lovely membership and Patreon only videos from me. But at the moment, it's just helping me to support the channel, and also you get videos a little bit earlier and a few little extra comment perks as well. Thanks again, guys. Stay positive. Come on, you Spurs.